Hello, everybody. Welcome to the listening show. I'm still Walter, and it's still Zach. It's both of us together as friends and co-hosts. Today, we very intentionally decided to talk about nothing specific. I was just saying to Zach, we've been too organized. We've had spells of having no topics. Recently, we've had topics or know what we're going to talk about. And so he said, you want to have a topic? I went, no. So there's a good chance we're going to stumble. Let the stumbling begin.
Oh, no, I hope I don't fall. What is that from? Do you know what that's from, that Vine reference or whatever kind of reference it is? Have you heard what I'm talking about, the audio bit?
No, but it sounded like Carl from Family Guy. Is his name Carl?
From Family Guy?
Yeah. Now, that guy.
Oh, that guy. I don't know his name. Oh, no. That guy? It kind of has that kind of voice.
With
but
the
it's
falling bathtub gag.
Yeah, I don't know what it's from, but it's like this soundbite that they put in front of a bunch of memes. Oh, no, I hope I don't fall.
Never heard it.
Really? It's normally about like, yeah, it's like supposed to be like kind of flirty or whatever. It's like, oh, I hope this doesn't happen, even though they do hope it happens. I don't know. Makes me wonder about origin of a lot of things.
I was thinking about how certain memes or sounds from certain memes are just incorporated into everybody's lexicon in their brain. So some soundbite like that, there'd be millions of people who just know it and it's instantly funny. And I just thought it was interesting how it works. The reason I thought that, I guess, is because I was watching some guy playing SCP Containment Breach, but it's a good idea. He had fans or viewers submit mods of the game. So they basically turned the game into a YTP. They just turned into a pile of shit. And so the wall textures are memes, and then the characters walking around say dumb lines, or just sound effects for when you step. Everything is messed up.
Yeah.
Wildly entertaining. Great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a new series. Anyway, I was just thinking about, wow, I know a lot of these obscure references for sounds and visuals, and I wonder how many other people, clearly a lot of people know about them. Mm-hmm. And so I was just thinking how interesting it is, how that exists, how that's a thing.
Yeah. So, you know those like perfect, I don't know if I would describe them as perfect moment memes, but like everyone looks at that and go, that was it's like so funny or quintessentially like meme. Like everyone looks at that like that's a meme. Because it's
video
something
or
about
a picture?
Either.
Okay.
Just a joke, but it's usually in GIF form or in meme form where it's like that was a perfect, what it was perfect. Like the thing that I can think of is the conversation. I think it's in like South Africa or something. The first one that comes to mind is the guy who's, why are you gay? And then the guy says something about,
I think it's who?
You are gay. And then he says, yeah,
you are gay. I think that's it.
Yeah, like that, like a whole thing. It's just perfect from beginning to end.
Just that 10-second, whatever it is, excerpt on its own.
Yeah, it's just perfect,
endlessly entertaining.
Because there's so much you can just derive out of it from beginning to end. Like it's just like immediately this guy with a very strong accent is talking about something that's modern culturally, and you're like, I want to know what this guy thinks about that. And then he's got a guest, and it's like he's copying all these mannerisms from like a different, like you wouldn't normally associate that accent with newsroom, I guess is what I'm saying. Maybe that sounds racist.
Maybe that's just funny to us in our culture. But to them in their culture, it's like, that's the news.
To our news would sound funny. But anyway, something about him being sensitive about the topic and then asking that question in that insensitive of a way was so perfect. And then you are gay.
You know what's funny to me is how a joke or a meme can be reused. How many uses can be derived from it. So for example, that one, I don't know the setup, but it's used as a punchline. It's just because we all know that meme so well, there's a screenshot of, him looking at his guest with no caption on. Just that screenshot. And that means, why are you gay?
Yeah.
So, like a video with like a guy saves a kitten and there's like a bunch of dislikes. And then, so it's like, it was like 1,000 dislikes and look at the 1,000 dislikes like this,
You okay.
So yeah, it's really fascinating to see memes be created and evolved. So, man, I was thinking yesterday, because I was listening to Endgame, I was thinking, man, I was so happy to be alive and see those movies come out, but also the memes were just as good. I loved the memes. so many of them. And that's happened with several things. So maybe not most recently, but more recently, we watched Invincible together.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really fun watching the memes come out of that,
Yeah.
But I think the most popular one lately is look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power. It just keeps evolving. So here's a version of a meme. They block out the subtitles and leave remaining letters to spell out something else.
Yeah.
That's a good joke, but then that joke can be used many ways.
Yeah.
I can't think of a version of it, but I just that's the fun part to me is how much can a meme be milked? Yeah. And there's some really creative stuff.
Yeah. There's a principle, an artistic principle, which is making the universe out of what do they say? If you try to, I think John Mayer said this in a TikTok, this is where I heard it. Other people have said it better, but the last version I heard was John Mayer said, every time I try to write a song about the universe, it's too big. But then I pick a small thing and somehow the universe comes out of it. Like he said, I'll just pick like breakfast. And that's a really small thing compared to the universe. But then if you really dig into breakfast, you'll realize how many things you can pull out of breakfast. And it's like the best stuff he writes is about tiny little things that he pulls the universe out of. It's the same idea of if you give more constraints to a thing, then you can be funny within those very small, like memes are like that. Mm-hmm. Like you have one frame, but you can pull a million jokes out of it. And that's what makes them funny.
The constraints, as you call them, make them funny. Another example that I just thought of is, like, I like watching the TF2 videos, the Gmods, the SFMs, the bad animations of those characters. Mm. What's so funny about it is there's 9 characters. They have a finite amount of voice lines. Mm-hmm. So you have to mix these lines and characters millions of ways. You have a limitation, but millions of different ways. And that's where the creativity and the humor comes from.
Yeah.
That's why I like, and the Michael Rosen poops.
Yeah.
YouTube poops are they kind of get like that.
Another example is Photoshop fights where you take like you've done it on your Instagram where you take a picture of a generic pose or something that's silly. And then people just have Photoshop wars where they make the funniest Photoshop they can.
That's fun.
It's super fun. The most recent one I saw is, did you see the one with the girl who's taking a nap in the student lounge?
No.
In the chair. She's got this really awkward pose in this like chair and she's like passed out. And so they take this pose of hers and they like superimpose it for all these awesome situations. And it looks like she's like dodging attacks or something. She's just like passed out. It makes me laugh. You got to see some of those.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite. Probably favorite just thing to just look at is like one. They did it with oh shoot, they've done it a lot of different times with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I love Photoshop though. Oh my gosh. I think some of the hardest laughs I've had in my life were based on Photoshops. Either like coming up with ideas in my head or like, seeing them executed or looking up to see if they exist. Like seriously, I'll like look things up. Like I want to see if this is a thing, and everything is a thing now because of Photoshop, but
it's just a matter of if you can find it, like it exists somewhere,
or the idea,
in someone's head, or
We had a video idea where it was like a small. I don't know. It could be a Vine. It's that small of an idea, but the idea was a long time ago. You were editing or something, and I was trying to get your attention, and I realized this would be a funny sketch. Is you just ignoring me and me being ridiculous in the background? But how we determined that is like. What I actually said was, hey, man, I've been working out. Check out my muscles. And then you were like, whatever, that's okay. And then I don't remember who had the idea, but it came to a joke where I walk into the room and there's a Photoshop image of a bodybuilder's chest, like just a huge muscly chest, just very crappily superimposed over my body. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, I've been working out. Check this out. And there's maybe 2 or 3 images that are very just kind of shakily over
crappy.
my body.
I remember this too. I remember being one image where the skin tone doesn't match. It's a little too big and it's just crappily hovering like over you.
Yeah, and like
the final joke is when you leave the room, you close the door, the body's still there, then it disappears. Like
I like turn around and like
and
the torso still
the body flips. Yeah, but it's just crappy.
It flips a little too late, and then the door closes, and then it disappears. And
the joke for me is, I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm staring at the screen. I said, Zach, I would, but I'm really busy right now. And I'm watching something dumb. And it was Liam Neeson with a fire extinguisher bashing a guy's face on loop. And I'm just like, mindlessly staring at it. Liam Neeson. Check out my muscles. Fine.
I've been working on my triceps. And like it's like very.
I'm working on my triceps. It's
like my pecs.
One of these. Like, you don't even know what your muscles are.
It's my arm. Yeah, but that's like an example of, and like even things that you have photoshopped in the past. I remember having laughing fits. I couldn't breathe because you were. I can't remember some of them, but I know I can imagine me underneath your bunk bed where you were editing, and photoshopping a picture.
Oh, I was just thinking about that too. I was gonna say I remember you laughing at me doing videos, but I was like, what pictures? I remember a couple.
Do you?
They were Battlefield server banners.
Yeah.
And so basically one of them was like photoshopping Liam Neeson's face in a soldier's uniform. So he's like smiling, and then one of them was like that, him smiling and then me smiling, like we're both smiling together, something like that.
you had, and I was like, you should just make a whole scrapbook of you and Liam Neeson together on Photoshop. Just like me and Liam and me.
It was so dumb. I remember one of them fairly well. Like, why? Opposite of each other. Liam Neeson in.
Yeah.
Like a 90s sitcom cover. Me leaning in. Yeah. So you join, the idea is you join this Battlefield 4 server and you see the rules and you see this picture like, Liam Neeson and who's this guy and why is Liam Neeson on the cover of the server?
Yeah. I'm crying. Or the one you did with Shia LaBeouf too.
Oh, yeah.
You did one with Shia.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, that was a more recent one, but what I did is I think the one you're talking about is I took the Fortnite cover photo with the 4 players and I made all of them Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, instead of Fortnite it said do it. And,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It did, didn't it? Oh my gosh. I love Photoshop, man. It's another one of those constraint things. It's like you apply the constraints and that enables the jokes. I think like every kind of joke works like that. Like if you look at comedians, like stand-up comedians, what do they do first? They set up a joke. So here's the parameters for this joke. And another parameter is they have to say it and they're on stage. So there's already some constraints. And so that makes it funny. But at the beginning, the lead up to every joke is, here's the setup. I was walking in my car, and then this guy walks up to me, and he says, "Hey, you're that guy from the," and they set the stage first, and then they throw the joke in there. It's just like that's the part you don't expect. Mm-hmm. But the constraint is this is a situation that you can imagine yourself in easily.
I like, would you call them milking jokes or devolving jokes? So
yeah, they just slowly
Jim Gaffigan
devolve.
has a bit about. Several bits where he talks about something and he just keeps getting like horse. I remember he had like a long string of horse jokes. Mm-hmm. He just keeps milking material and he does a fourth wall joke about how the audience is getting annoyed. Like, stop talking about horses, and he keeps going.
That like girl voice. What is this guy doing? Yeah.
So I like jokes like that. There's probably a word for it, but yes, I think almost all jokes have constraints. If the constraints are loose or if the setting is open, it's usually a subversion. So like a fart in a normal space, the constraint is, I guess,
the
social
cavity
setting is the rectum. Correct.
The constraint is
anal cavity is funnier. No, I think it's. I guess I don't know. A fart isn't really a joke, I guess, but I'm going to go ahead and say.
Yeah, let's pretend it is for this.
Well, I was stepping back.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how it's an interesting observation. Yeah, most jokes, if
I think
not all
every
of them,
joke
come from the fact that you're working within boundaries and this is how you navigate or use the space.
Anytime
part of it.
Yeah, anytime I've been on like a roll or something. You know how you've gotten into these modes where you're like in front of people or something, and then you just joke, and everybody's laughing and they keep coming. And like for me, every time that happens, it's when I get into like a headspace of one thing and I obsess about it. Like I told this I bought a Chipotle burrito. I already talked about this same burrito on this podcast, I think, but it was so bad. And so constraints of joke were, I went to Chipotle and I like Chipotle, but this time it was bad. And you could say that and be done with it, like the same way that you could have this, Invincible scene with Mark, and that could just be the scene with Mark or whatever. But it became, let's look into this deeper, and I'm going to talk about how bad this Chipotle burrito was, or let's look into this deeper and realize you can take this text for this Invincible Mark meme and just, make a new meme out of this. But anyway, you go into it, and then I started just ripping this, figuratively ripping this burrito apart by talking about how just bad it was in every way. And I had whatever room I was in, I think I was talking to my family. I went to the house and I started just going off on this Chipotle burrito for about 10 minutes. And everybody, including myself, was like, we were just in stitches. And I remember being like, man, that was fun. And the constraint was, this is a bad burrito. I don't know. Makes me want to box a bunch of little things and then see if there's jokes in there. We do that.
Right. We have a joke like that, which is, it's I don't know what you call it, but the joke is you set up a tagline and then you each deliver a punchline.
Life is like chess.
Life is like chess, and your delivery is, or whatever your answers are. Oh man. Well, we could play a game right now. I think we should. It's a good exercise.
Yeah, but let's not do the chess
not
one.
that one. We already played that one out. So that's the idea of the joke game. We pick a tagline, we take turns just delivering punchlines to it and see if you can land on it. That's the idea of exhausting the material, milking out a better nugget. I don't know.
Boys are like soda.
No, let's not do the like.
Okay.
Because I think we did a couple of those. What else did we do? Oh man, we had other ones.
I can't think of a different formula though.
All right, well, I'll have yours ready. I'll think. Well, we'll pit a tagline against each other.
Okay.
To be fair, and we'll pick the tagline we like. This is tough.
It is not easy.
My legs are so hairy. I mean, that's a setup. You just got to pick a setup now, or a tagline.
My legs are so hairy. I was thinking of what I should say about that. I was going to say something about your mom.
You can say like the like ones if you want. I just wanted to pick one that wasn't.
I was just saying. I just said boys are like soda.
Okay, I like it. It's so random.
It's just random
we have
enough.
to try. Okay, boys are like soda. They're always popping. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Boys are like soda. They're just full of caffeine. They're not, but they get better as we go along. No promises.
Just give us a break. We're gonna get one or two good ones.
Yeah.
Boys are like soda. Your parents would do well to not let their daughters have one.
Okay.
That's strange.
They're not good for you. Boys are like soda. They're not good for you. That's stupid.
Boys are like soda. They're worth about 25 cents.
Yeah. Boys are like soda. They keep you up at night.
Nice. That one is more accurate
Little
than
zinger.
funny.
Little zinger. Yeah.
Boys are like soda. Some of them are doctors.
I like that.
That's stupid.
I wasn't expecting a good one. Some of them are doctors. Oh, man. Boys are like soda. Oh, shoot. I don't know. Maybe we should end in a good one. We could just keep exploring.
I'm ready to keep going, but I'm also ready to give up if you don't want to do it anymore.
Boys are like soda.
I mean, we proved our point if we were going to make a point. I wanted to play a game, but...
They used to have cocaine.
They used to have cocaine.
They used to have cocaine in them.
Boys are like soda. They're wet inside.
Okay. Sometimes it gets sticky.
Boys are like soda. Sometimes it gets sticky. Yeah, I guess. Boys are like soda syrup.
Yeah. Boys are like soda.
Oh, I got a good one.
Do it.
Boys are like soda. Everybody likes a six pack. Something like that.
Hey, that's not
Something
bad.
about a six pack. Come on.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
There's good elements. I don't think it was formed really well, but you get where that one's
Yeah,
going.
no, that's not bad. Boys are like soda. You enjoy them after work. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Boys are like soda. They look good when they perspire. I don't know.
Okay. They get a little sweaty in the heat.
Something about sweat.
Sweaty in the heat. Because they do. They kind of get moist.
Moist.
They also are moist. Boys like soda. They also are moist.
Yeah. That's the cheap one because it's not necessarily the joke. It's just the word moist that's funny.
Right. No.
Boys are like soda.
Some are dark.
Some are diet. Some are. I was gonna say some are diet free. It doesn't make any sense.
Some are diet.
I was gonna do with a diet or sugar free.
I feel like we've been focusing on the soda part and less on the boy part.
Yeah,
Boys are like soda. I don't know. I think we might have.
Boys are like soda. Neither of them should have three legs. I mean, it's like that's a dumb one.
Yeah, I feel like technically there's somewhere within the constraints. There's like the perfect joke,
right?
But it's hard to find. We aren't really practiced up.
No, and the idea,
but we came up with a couple okay ones.
The idea is there is a really good one in there.
Yeah,
that's you could set up something really
Some
obscure.
of them are doctors.
Doorknobs are like spiders. You could do something like that, and eventually, if you hammered it out, I'm sure there's a great one. Like,
yeah,
anyway.
And of course, some constraints have more space,
right?
Than them. So that constraint was
that
probably
was a
pretty
small
minimal,
one, which makes it harder to play.
Yeah, I really like this idea.
That's a fun game to play.
It is fun. I'd be willing to do it again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd want to have a better constraint one other than boys are like soda.
That was like a medium level difficulty of tagline guess, whatever you want to call this game. I'd call that a medium level, where it's kind of hard, but not the most obscure thing I've ever heard. Anyway, we can pass for now, if you want. That's a good game to play, I think, if you're like doing a road trip and you're trying not to fall asleep, because we did something like that. It was 20 questions. We were finishing a drive home and it was late and I was tired. I said, Zach, we need to play or talk so I don't fall asleep. And then when we thought to play that game, it was awesome because you're thinking really hard to play that game.
Yeah. Do you remember?
I was just suddenly like awake. It was awesome. So that's a simple game that I think could work, but the 20 questions was a more critical game to play.
Yeah.
It made you think and your brain was just
I have just a question just to see if you remember, but do you remember?
Nebula.
Do you remember which one?
Horsehead.
Oh my gosh, good job. Man, you got traumatized, but I was literally going to ask, just for the audience, I was going to ask, do you remember the question I asked you that stumped you?
And I remember, before you
Horsehead
asked,
Nebula.
I knew it. Anyway.
That's right.
It bugged me because I never really played 20 questions before that evening. We played a few games. But that was such a good answer that you had. Nebula.
It's so abstract.
Such a good one.
Thank you.
Such a good one. I was one question away, and that's why it sucked. I almost got it.
I
didn't get it because I didn't know what it was called. I was like, okay, it's not a solar system.
Yeah.
There's the level, and then there's one, and I don't know what it is, and it's a collection of systems. That's a collection of systems. I don't know what that's called. And I just couldn't get it.
Like a nebula, because I think I remember explaining to you what a nebula was after that too.
You would have.
Because I think you conflated nebula and galaxy or something like that. I don't remember which one.
I missed it. So in the game Mass Effect, there's like a star map, and it shows it pretty well. You have a planet, solar system, galaxy, and then nebulas, I think. But you can, or whatever the order is. So I was aware of it. I just couldn't remember what the order was and what a nebula was. But I knew there was something missing, and I couldn't. And I may have. Anyway,
nebula is just basically for the audience. It's like a huge, just big bunch of gas in space. It's all on fire basically, and so it's very colorful. Yeah. Many of them are created by exploding stars or colliding stars. basically stars that explode are nebulas, but some nebulas are like super huge because there's a bunch of stars that exploded together and stuff. But basically, they're bigger than stars, like much bigger.
I can't remember the order. I think it's planet, systems, galaxies, and then nebulas. I might have the order wrong.
Yeah,
I think they're galaxies within nebulas.
They're not, but
I don't remember. I don't know.
yeah, because nebulas are like just exploded stars.
So it would make more sense that there are solar systems and nebulas, and then nebulas in a galaxy.
Solar system means like star system.
Yeah, I know.
Each solar system pertains to one star, and so one star exploding is basically the same as a solar system. But technically speaking, nebulas can be super vast, like bigger than many solar systems, but they're not bigger than a galaxy. There's like millions and billions of nebulas in our galaxy. But yeah, anyway. That was correct. We remembered exactly I used to play 20 questions with my family, and we got really abstract. Like we wouldn't talk about nouns anymore. We'd talk about like concepts.
Yeah.
And that was really fun for
Taxation.
me. Like,
that's my
yeah, like
literally. A
literally
really hard one, you know?
Yeah, and it made it more fun because you'd have to get really specific. Like, is it a noun? That would be the first question we'd ask, and then we'd think and be like, no, and be like, is it an adjective? And and things like that.
I think we got to the level of one of the first questions we'd ask is it on Earth? Because there's all space and we have Earth. Like, is it on land? No.
I think you actually, that was kind of the crazy thing about that particular game. I'm pretty sure you asked, is it on Earth, like question number 2.
I think so.
And I was like, oh, he's going to get this so quick. And then Nebula was like, you were like, you might have even said Nebula, but I was like, but which one?
Oh, I think I may have said Horsehead Nebula without realizing that it doesn't have to be a specific one. Whatever. I was so close.
You were close. I think I probably said Horsehead Nebula, and then you said Nebula or something like that. And I was like, but which one?
That might have been it, because that's not fun.
Yeah, that one was like mean because you have to know a lot of nebulas.
Yeah, that's not fun. If that happened, whatever.
If it did, I think I would. Or here's probably, this sounds more like something I do. I'd probably say what the answer is Horsehead Nebula, but Nebula is acceptable. It's probably what I would have said. Because it's like, who's gonna know? Like star A15BT. Like, who? If someone knows that star, then you can have all my money, and you can't Google it. But anyway, fun fact. Speaking about stars, I don't know if this is BS or not. I'm pretty sure it's not because I've read it from multiple sources, including NASA. But supposedly, there's like a star collision that's expected sometime in the next year.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say you named a star.
No. There's going to be basically a solar system where there's 2 stars orbiting each other in a decaying orbit, and they've been slowly getting closer and closer for years now, and they've observed it, and they're decaying. Their orbit has decayed so much that they anticipate they're going to collide, and it's not close enough that it's going to really affect Earth, other than it'll be visible in the night sky.
Cool.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a little scary at first because it's gonna be
supernatural.
It's gonna be the brightest thing in the night sky for the rest of our lives, basically.
That's
not brighter than the moon, I don't think, but like how
brighter than the sun?
No.
Okay, then not the brightest thing, but
not brighter than the moon either.
Thing in space that's visible on Earth in our lifetime. How about that? Like, minus the sun, I guess that's in space.
So like right now, the brightest thing is like Venus, basically. Venus and Mars. Those are the brightest 2 things. And then, not Polaris, but I can't remember the star. Maybe it is Polaris. I don't know. That's
Mars
the North
and
Star.
Venus is only bright because of the sun, though. It's not like It's not like Mars is whatever.
Right. But the things that you look in the night sky, the brightest things are the planets. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be brighter than
sometime next year, you said?
Yeah, within the next year and a half.
I wonder if that's going to be like, I immediately think it's going to be where you have to wear, they're going to advise you wear shades or something.
No.
But if it was, I feel like I would have heard about it, hey, everybody, this is a safety thing, kind of like you should know.
No. Yeah, right. No, it'll just be visible. It's going to look like a big bright star, like a very bright star. It's not going to be. How long it's
going to last? Probably like few minutes. I don't know.
Tens of thousands of years.
Well, it's just going to stay there? You're going to see like...
Mm-hmm. Well, like an exploding star. How long does it take?
Explosion last? I don't know. Like,
Well,
what about a dying star?
So star explosions, basically how the universe works and stuff. So you got, boom, star explodes and it just expands and gases go everywhere and they're very bright because it's an explosion and it lasts for a very long time. Now, eventually, the materials in that, they can, after tens of thousands of years, the gravity can start to pull things back in and rematerialize into new stars or planetary systems and stuff. But the initial expansion is going to last for a long time, which means the light is going to just emit for a long time. It'll just be like another nebula. And the scientists are really excited to watch a star collision because they've never seen, like, they'll get to take pictures of a star dying for the first time.
This hasn't happened in our lifetime, not with the technology we have.
The last one was something like the last one that they can actually calculate was something like couple hundred years ago or something, and it's not visible with the naked eye because it's too far, but it is visible with the telescope.
Hear this? Is it a podcast?
I read an article and I was like, is that real or is this one of those like clickbaity things? And so I looked at NASA and then I looked at one other place that I don't remember. Some
wasn't someone talking on a podcast then?
No.
Okay.
No, not this one. I do listen to a lot. By the way,
2.5 things. Number one, quick story. I was in North Dakota with my siblings sliding out on a snowy hill at nighttime, and I got down on my sled, looked at the sled, and I remember seeing, because I wasn't looking at the sky, everything lit up like it was daytime, but very white. Obviously surreal. And I looked up, all starry-eyed, with my siblings, and they're just like staring at the sky. And I'm like, what was that? And they go, that was a huge meteor. It went right across the sky. And I was like, I didn't see it because I just looked down. Anyway, so that was that's my only cool experience with stars or anything. And secondly, last week you mentioned, we were talking about psychedelics. I know that because I listened to our own show. I usually don't, but it was a good way to pass the time when I was out. So I listened to it. So that's half of it. And the other part is you mentioned that you listened to a podcast from Jordan B. Peterson. And I'm pretty sure I went and listened to that exact same one because everything you described was in that episode. But it wasn't how I would have described it. Like, well, his description fit, though. So I think I listened to the same one.
I listened to Jordan Peterson had two different psychedelic ones.
The first half was a younger guy who...
Oh, no. So I know the one you're talking about. That's the most recent one. And that one was the second total one. He did another one that was purely about psychedelics with the guy. They notated his work in that second interview. He was the guy, I think he's from Caltech. I don't remember for sure, but he actually interviewed the guy who did the experiment.
Yeah, well, then the one I saw was recent. There was 2 interviews in it. The first was a younger guy who learned Latin and whatever. And then the second one was an older guy who researched it and did it. And I don't know what this other video. Anyway, I tried to watch to catch up, but
I'll send you the other one too.
Okay,
that one was my favorite one. I liked the one with the younger guy and the older guy too. They were interesting, but I think the first one, like, I'm glad that I watched the second one with the context of the first one, because the first one actually told you like how the drug works and how the experiments went and stuff.
I didn't get that much detail. I obviously
you'll like the other one.
That one was
I'll send you that other one. It's super cool.
Anyway, I think I only mentioned that because I was just like, well, I'm glad this podcast episode isn't another. This is what I heard on another podcast.
Yeah, no. I think it goes without saying, if you guys don't listen to like the Jordan Peterson's podcasts he puts out, then it's totally worth your time because they're just smart and better than us. But that doesn't mean stop listening to us because we are more relatable. Yeah. Now that
Jordan B. Peterson will not be making fart jokes. I'm like, we will.
Yeah,
we're trying to find the similarities between. Well, actually, I was going to take it back.
We got the corner on those.
He won't be trying to find the similarities between boys and soda cans. But if he did, I would want to listen to that because his breakdown would be really
from a
smart.
Psychological perspective. Yeah. No,
and that's you rescuing the carbohydrates
from the belly of the whale. That's so funny.
Stupid.
No, I went on a astronomy binge this week. After I heard about that, I was like, I wonder, here's what I learned recently is YouTube has lectures on everything. And I was thinking, wait a minute. I've always wanted to learn astronomy. Why don't I look up and see if they've got free lectures posted on YouTube? And they have a ton. I was like, why am I not listening to these? Once I clicked on one of them, I realized why I don't, because like the quality was terrible.
Yeah.
Like the audio quality was like laptop microphone and Skype Zoom call, but with the lady this far away and it sounded like this. And she wasn't very succinct. And her, it was just like it wasn't pleasant to listen to. If I find a more pleasant to listen to, I listened to about 2.5 hours of it. And then I was like, okay, I'm learning a little bit.
My ears are tired from trying to process this.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Plus, like, it wasn't like I got an intro to astronomy. I kind of already have that, but I wanted like a
proper course.
Intermediate astronomy, because I've got a pretty good general understanding of it, but I'd like a little bit more complex before it goes straight into quasars and all this stuff. That's how she said it, quasars. But then she was talking about neutron stars and like the science behind pulsar emissions when stars explode and die. So she was talking about how they explode and die and the gases live forever. But then there's a small, this is cool. It's something to talk about, but basically what's left over, the gravity, the heaviest substance that's left over like merges to this very extremely compact, very mass, what is the word? Extremely heavy mass. It's the heaviest thing in the universe. Dense. Thank you. Like a teaspoon of this stuff is something like 10,000 pounds or something. It's like super heavy, and the gravity is so strong that it pulls in just all that mass and stuff, and then the gas just gets left over. And because it's so much mass in such a small space, and it just went through a pretty intense explosion, it spins so fast. It's in the tens of thousands of miles. It might be in the millions of miles an hour. It's just spinning like crazy. And then that spinning, small planet sized, massive, huge, just ball of dense material. It spins and it emits electrons and light basically. But because it only does it at one release point at the top of it, if you catch the rotation correctly, it looks like blinking in the sky based on our like telescopes and scanners and radars and all that. And so people have found like a bunch of these pulsar stars and stuff that are just out in the universe because they'll see like blinking. And at first scientists were freaked out because they thought it was like aliens trying to talk to us, but it's actually just super, super duper fast spinning planet-like stars that are just really, really, really heavy. I was really interested in learning about that. And you can only find like some of them because you have to be in the orbital rotation of that it's basically like a laser beam that's shooting out from this planet that's just like spinning like this.
So we can always see some of them.
Yeah. Almost like 100, like maybe barely 1% of them can we see because we just happen to be right in that line of sight of that laser beam. That it's not a laser beam, but whatever that's called.
I don't know. I think it kind of counts as a laser.
Yeah, it's like a electron horizon. The rest of the gravity is so intense that it holds it in, but because it's spinning a certain way, the other way there's not as much. I don't know how it works.
That actually is whatever. Yeah. I don't know what is a laser, but do you know what laser stands for? It's an acronym.
Light.
Unless you know it, I don't think you could guess it. Like you've heard it before, then
I've probably heard
figure
it before.
out. But if you've never heard it before, I don't think.
If I recall, it actually spelled with a Z.
Nope.
LASER.
Yeah.
It's like light something R emission something. I don't know.
You got two of them. Light blank
emitter emissions.
Emission, that's what it is.
Yeah, I remember that.
Light
much.
emission, those two.
Light and.
It's not and.
Light.
The ands and ofs are emitted from acronyms.
Yeah.
Articles.
Okay.
I'll just tell
You
you.
can
if
tell
want.
me,
Okay.
yeah. I got 2 of them.
Light amplification.
Thank you.
Feel free to jump in if you think you know it. Light amplification, or just pass and let me do
Light
it. Pick
amplification.
light amplification by blank emission of.
It could
light.
be solar, but I don't think it's solar.
Nope.
I'm gonna cringe when you tell me, but tell
Light
me.
amplification by stimulated
Emission
of
radiation.
Yep, correct. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation.
Okay,
So I was like,
3 of 5.
Is that star thing? Is that what's the difference between a laser and light? I actually don't know. That's what I was just thinking about.
Well, I guess all lights are radiation
Lasers,
being emitted.
yeah. So
But I don't know that it's amplified. Maybe that's the difference.
Yeah.
Because amplification is a process, and
Yeah.
light doesn't. I don't know that light naturally amplifies
like
itself.
the sun hitting us isn't being amplified or reflected.
It's just light,
Yeah.
right?
So
Unless
light
maybe the mass
light
affects it?
reflected is a laser.
Man, we're so
don't know.
ignorant to physics and stuff. But like maybe the mass of the sun affects it to where it does amplify it.
I don't know.
Certainly, like sunstorms and like what do they call those?
Sun flares.
Sun flares. Like certainly those are emitted, but does that consider amplification of light? It's certainly amplification of radiation, at least emission of, because like every time one of those flares happens at the Earth, it like literally hits us with a wave of radiation. That's what causes the aurora borealis.
Duh.
You know what I'm talking about?
I can imagine it, but
Like
I
the
don't
northern
know
lights?
That. I know the northern lights are. Yeah.
Those are basically, that's radiation, like the atmosphere catching radiation rays from the sun, and when solar flares happen, people are like, you can watch the solar flare happen and it takes like 7 minutes for the light to reach Earth. And so we can predict how long the flares will take to get here physically. The light gets here really early, but like a couple weeks later or something, it'll hit the atmosphere. And so like sky watchers will know big solar storm. So let's go watch the aurora borealis on this date at this time in this location. And then they can just watch a huge, that's how they know like down in like North and South Dakota, sometimes they'll get they'll get notified, hey, just so you know, we got a big one. And so we can probably see it from here. And you know, it's just south enough that you can still kind of see it from there, but it has to be a really big.
North enough? Does that make more sense?
No, because from in the north, there's almost always some of those going on because the north side is, well, both poles because of the way. So like imagine here's the Earth, it's round. The atmosphere is also round. When the light radiation that's getting hit head on, imagine it's just getting absorbed by the atmosphere and dissipated. But on the edges, it's like it's reflecting off. That's so it makes sort of like this cone around it, and when it reflects off, you can like imagine skipping a stone off of it. It's going to create little ripples.
You said South and North Dakota are just south enough to see
Right.
the northern lights.
I
mean
think
they're just north enough.
Yeah, you're right.
That's why
you're
I was
right.
like, okay,
My
that
bad.
makes
I
sense.
misnomer, but basically imagine skipping a rock off the water. There's just enough resistance there that it's going to go past it instead of through the water. But in leaving, it's going to leave ripples. And that's what the northern lights are, basically. It's like ripples of radiation skipping off the atmosphere. So anyway, they're really cool. I've never actually seen them in person, but they're some of the coolest. Like, I wish my room looked like northern lights. It's like
I'm sure they have some nice, stupid northern light projector things you just put your thing where it's still just a video shooting colors on your.
Yeah,
I'm sure you could do that.
maybe.
I was thinking during that. I don't think I've seen like a high quality video of the northern lights. I know generally what they look like because I've seen clips or I've seen it in movies, but I don't know how accurate that actually is. I want to see footage from someone actually there looking at it. Like I should look that up. I'm sure it's all over the internet, you know?
It's on my bucket list. It's one of the things I want to do very soon.
In
you have to
person's
go.
a good idea too.
Yeah.
I just meant like generally like a video. I don't know that I've seen real, you know, like we've seen the moon in video.
I'd actually like to see the aurora borealis on both sides of the Earth if I can. That'd be cool.
I don't know how
different. I don't know how often it happens on the South Pole because a lot of the South Pole atmosphere is kind of deteriorated. Yeah, there's like a bunch of it's just not much atmosphere down there protecting the Earth from radiation. They actually, like a lot of people, they wear
Hazmat suits.
Well, not like they have to wear. They can dress warm, but like if they're gonna be out for a long time, they like have to, just be careful about radiation exposure and stuff. Even though it's really cold, but it doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight either, so they're not extremely worried. I don't know. Anyway, it is interesting. I think it'd be cool. I know that it happens in the North Pole a lot. It makes like a little crown.
I wonder
around
how
the planet.
often. I don't know why I think it's every year, but if it is, or however frequent it is, why is it that frequent? And if it is frequent, or is it completely irregular?
It's just completely dependent on the sun.
And then if it is irregular by average, how often should you expect it? Once a year, 1 year, and then 5 years, and then 6 months? Like, I have no idea.
It's just.
I would think it's kind of random, but that there'd be a median or an average to where it's like you should expect one about every year, or what I would think there's a general, but I don't know.
It is literally you could watch if the people who watch the sun know exactly when they're going to happen because.
Do you know how far advanced they know? Is it? You said 2 weeks.
I don't know that. Don't quote me on that, but it's so like it takes 7 minutes for light to get from the sun to the earth. And in that time, you can see when the sun's basically burping out a bunch of hydrogen and helium all the time. That's what those flares are. And it gets lit on fire on the way out because it's really hot. But when it does that, it just launches it into space. And, the Earth is not always in its trajectory, but since the sun's always burping stuff out, we're running into all kinds of these flares. Now, sometimes the sun burps out huge solar flares. And then you can track the trajectory of that, and you can see, this is going to intercept with Earth in a couple weeks or something. And then
Yeah, but you don't know how long that actually is. You don't know if it's 2 weeks.
I don't think I don't think it's more than a month, and I know it's not sooner. I'm pretty sure it's
whatever
not more
it
than
is.
2 weeks.
It's obviously a sufficient amount of time to where people can travel around the globe to get there.
Sure.
So that's pretty cool that they can know that far ahead.
It's another meteorologists have to know all that stuff too, because it can affect weather patterns and stuff too. Because radiation, like anything else, if it's going to hit the Earth dead on in the center, it's going to just send a heat wave, boom, like right into this cold area, might get hurricanes and stuff. You just have to watch the sun because the sun's always burping stuff out at you. That's cool. But it is all completely dependent on the sun. I think it happens kind of frequently because the sun's always it's just always burping stuff out. Now, sometimes a huge flare happens, and then this is going to definitely have the northern lights are definitely going to happen. Like when you're watching it, that's another one of those weird things where watching it, you don't like realize you just look at it, it's like, wow, pretty lights. But what's actually happening is like this violent sun's trying to kill you kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. Literally, universe is like, I'm going to freaking send this death to everybody because we have, right. Like literally, I'm shooting you right now with the sun.
And then the Earth is just virginity shield activate.
Chastity belt.
That'd be really a funny name for a constellation of stars.
What?
The Orion's belt and then Chastity belt.
The Orion's chastity belt.
No. Those are two different systems.
One of them's like Orion's belt and
the camera pans over to across to more stars. Chastity belt,
Yeah.
But no, I was saying
it's sort of like more feminine looking.
Yeah, whatever. Smaller stars.
Yeah.
Orion's belt's like 3 big stars, and it's like an arch, and then Chastity belt's like 3 inverted.
It's like a bikini version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is cool. I hope I can find a better quality lectures to listen to on that space stuff, because like, again, getting thrown right in the middle of a pretty intense, like they were like building on their previous lessons. And so luckily I kind of knew some of the terminology, so I was able to follow a little bit, but that in tandem with the quality of the sound and the, the visuals and the audio was just like, this is not worth it. Mm-hmm. The lady seemed pretty smart. Like she knew what she was talking about. She also kind of talked about herself, like more than I cared about. And it was like maybe this is like the stereotype of those scientists that are really good specialists, but she was talking about her like cats and stuff and like how she's single. And I was like, okay, but what about space? I was like wanting to know that. And she'd be like, also, I think about my cat.
Space extends into my heart.
Also, my cats are in my heart. And I have a dog named Pencil. I don't remember the dog's name.
Pencil is the best you can come up with.
Yeah.
What's your dog's name? Pencil? Rudolph. Oh. Pencil.
Same.
I know it's not important, but it's just funny.
I thought I heard pencil.
Oh, Rudolph. I heard pencil. I should use that.
I just misheard you.
Because I get people's names wrong sometimes, and usually it's in the same vein, like same amount of letters or same. It sounds similar. You can understand why. But a few times I've made the mistake to where, wow, I was way off. I need to go.
What is it, pencil?
So let's say Margaret is my guess, but it's actually Angie. So
yeah.
like, what's your name? Margaret? Angie. Oh, Angie. I heard Margaret. Like that'd be a good way to own the joke and make it funny.
Yeah.
To point out how stupid you are.
And Margaret. Sounds pretty similar. Like it's an easy mistake to make. You like?
I'm sure people make that mistake for you all the time. People probably could keep calling you Margaret because it sounds like.
I bet you're sick of hearing that.
Yeah, I need to remember that joke for when I get someone's name wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, we brought back the jokes.
Yeah.
And that's a new joke that I'm going to try to use.
I like doing those, like preparing for situations with jokes.
Oh, yeah.
I told you about another one I had in my head recently, I think. I don't remember what it was, though. Like, when it happens, I'll know what to do because I'll be like, oh, I planned this.
Speaking of which, there have been several times where I'm like, oh, I got to use that joke when this happens. And then I completely forget about it. Don't think I'll forget about this one because it's been recorded. But there have been a lot of times when we think, oh, that's a great joke. I'm going to use that. And then we forget. So that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I think you were trying to think of one.
Yeah. Or like I do that with not just jokes, but like situations where it's like the coolest thing to say in this situation.
You got automated responses for certain situations. You have a go-to line in your script for when X happens. Like I like to think we all have those, but I think between you and I, we have some that are more, what's the word? Clever. That's the word. Goat, whatever. So I need to have more of those on hand.
Okay, so like here's one the other day, like one I had prepared for. I don't do this often, but a long time ago, if I ever spill my drink by accident, I hardly ever do. This is a good
example.
Well, no, this is I figured out a different thing. I have one for if other people spill their drink by accident, and I have one for if I spill my drink, but I never do. But the other day, like I went on Saturday to the bar by myself, which is a little sad, but it was fun for me because like I got to talk to a bunch of strangers. But so I went. And then I was like eating chicken tenders and watching the Olympics, and it was awesome. But then I like went to reach while I was watching something and spilled my drink down. And everyone went, ooh, party foul, like the thing. And my first instinct was, oh, embarrassment. But then I was like, nope, I planned for this. And I said, oh, thank God, I saved it. It was poisoned. And I like looked at the guy and I said, it was poisoned. And then of course he laughed. And then the girl came over with the towel and I said, I don't know if you heard me, but I saved myself because it was poison. And then anyway, I was just like being dumb, but
yeah, well, you had something ready.
Good, I saved me. It was poisoned.
So what's the one? Let everybody know what's the one for if someone else spills their drink.
If someone else spills their drink, and it's just if I have like water, if I have something, if it's like on the carpet, and
everybody has
gauge
their own
situation,
drink. You have your own drink.
So imagine I've got a glass of water or some light beer, something that's not going to affect the floor forever. Someone spills their drink on my carpet. It's like, oh, and they're all embarrassed. Like I have a plan where I'd be like, oh, it's no problem, and then I'll spill my drink. I got that idea from my grandma who did that, but I was like, that's one of those. I'm prepared in my head to do this because it instantly, boom, relieves the tension. It's a little bit funny. It puts the responsibility of the cleaning it up on me because I've done it myself. So, and I'd want to clean it up anyway. It's only a good response.
It's a good
if it's not going to damage the floor.
This isn't a good example really, but it's related because I was just talking about it with my friend a couple nights ago. I can't remember how we were talking about it. I said, I have an answer ready for this question, which is a question nobody should ever ask, but someone did ask me this question once and I was ready. Someone asked me, what's your favorite kind of air? Right? Like who asked that? What's your favorite kind of air? And I go, freshly diced. And like, I said, a fan. I like a fan. Anyway, but freshly diced is my favorite type of air. So I told you it wasn't a good example, but it's nice to have I want to say automated responses. It doesn't sound quite right. Having answers ready for specific questions or situations.
Yeah, just being prepared.
Yeah, because if you can have those ready, yeah,
It's easier than like being smart on the fly.
spot. You literally do your homework first and just have the answers written, and you're ready for some of these in case they show up on the test. That is life.
Yeah, I used to like. I think that you could practice having answers on the spot, but you'd have to just keep doing it all the time. And there's not a lot of situations where people come up with things that you have to have an answer for on the spot. But like, I know some people who are so good on their toes that like I just have to sit and marvel at them. Like, how did you think that quickly? And I think I'm actually like, you and I are probably pretty quick response people, but you know, like we could be so much better as far as
that's the real stinger, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can always be better.
Yeah, like certain some of my great uncles, like you'll be talking to them or something, and you'll say something, and they'll just instantly have a quip that they can just joke, and it's very funny to everybody. It's like, how did they come up with that quick? It's just because he's been doing that forever, you know. Anyway, and so I was inspired by a couple different people in that way, where it's like they just always knew the thing to say that was the funny thing, and it's like, man, I wish I knew the funny thing. Sometimes I do. Anyway, I think that there's hope for us. Still.
So this would be a good time for me to say that we haven't made a Patreon yet, but if we did, the first thing we'd be raising money for is a third microphone. It will be under the table.
Yeah.
So you can get a nice close-up of that long, wet, gargly, wet fart that Zach just did.
It does.
Like, I burp a lot. I think you hear that throughout the show. Zach farts a lot, and we're missing out.
Yeah.
It's not fair. So
yeah,
how funny would that be? There's a show, and there's a microphone by someone's butt in case that happens on the show for that reason. Just there's a
the fart
separate
mic
track on the Roadcaster, and you see the meter go up. Like, that's for farts only.
Yeah, so,
that's
and it's
so
like
dumb.
it's like an arm that's attached under the table that can move
but
wherever.
That's so stupid, though. But I wonder if that fart.
then
I wonder if that fart's gonna carry through.
And then you repurpose that mic as the guest mic. It's so messed up.
I'm gonna guess you pull the arm out like this.
It's just fart. Oh,
you
it's
keep
so
it away
gross.
from your face when you give it to them, like it stinks.
They're like, oh, is this thing on? So dumb. Gee whiz.
Hey, that joke is funny because of the constraints we made for it.
Yeah.
Farting.
Fart mic.
Hey, let's end it there because I said so.
All right.
That's ending on a good note. That, by the way, I think that fart will be barely audible.
It was long.
It was very clear for me.
It was great.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the listening show.
No matter what.
You'll hear us later and next time.
Enjoy your genitals this week.